Hi everybody, my name is Christian Johnson and today I've decided to do my presentation on Winston Churchill. This is a picture of Winston Churchill. He was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom during the World War II era. In the early stages of Winston Churchill's life, he was born on November 30th in 1874 in Blenheim Palace, Oxfordshire. He was raised in a rich aristocratic family. He struggled in school but still took a fond liking to militarism. He then joined the Royal Cavalry in 1985. And this was after he started struggling in school. He felt that studying militarism and studying military tendencies, it was a stronger passion of his. So that's why he decided to join the Royal Cavalry instead of sticking to boarding school. One of the key strengths that I felt Winston Churchill exhibited was the key to developing great leadership is to build strength. This was used when Winston Churchill said, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat," and committed himself and the nation to all-out war until victory was achieved. This was building a united strength amongst the nation. He was not only saying this, but he meant this. He built the strength of his troops with morale. He used the emotions to push men to fight. Despite all the bad things that we know about Winston Churchill, all the mess-ups as far as boarding school and as far as the other little mess-ups he had in life, he did come out to be a great leader. And one of his tendencies, it seems, that I've learned about him was he goes inside of people and he tries to get to the emotions. He feels that keeping the morale up is the strongest way to lead groups of people. The next one I have is leaders are made, not born. The cavalry became a source of both joy and tension for Winston. Riding became a passion and he proved exceptionally good at it. However, since the British officer had to pay for his own uniforms and horses, cavalry service taxed his family's financial resources. During the times when Winston Churchill was not doing well in school, he decided to swap and become more focused on military standpoints. This was much more of his calling and shaped him into the person we know him as today. Once again, it's when he swapped and took over that military role and he started to learn more about the military and follow his true passions, he was really able to blossom, as you could say, into who he is and who we know him as today as the leader he is. The boarding school and the wealth his family had and the way they went about it was not something he felt he wanted to do. He wanted to take a different standpoint, and that's what he decided to do. The two powers that I feel Winston Churchill exhibited the most was referent power and exert power. Winston Churchill was able to take the referent power he was given by others and use it to propel himself into a higher stature with the people. He was looked at as if he was the biggest man in the room when it came to leading others. His exert power was the same way. Since he was younger and sent away to boarding schools and failing, he was able to drop out and join the cavalry. This made him have more knowledge than most others around him in the room. This is one of the biggest key points I feel Winston Churchill had, because he was able to understand school and the wealth lifestyle that most higher ups would take was not for him. He felt military and cavalry and all those militarism lifestyle was much more for him. Since he was able to do that at a younger age, it propelled him with his battle sense and everything else. And that's what was able to help him actually gain way into being the prime minister later on in life, because of all his accomplishments he had done within the military. Some of his success, it was said that Churchill was able to inspire not only British leaders, but British citizens as well, by projecting an attitude of optimism and stalwart fortitude. He was a very genuine man that had many flaws, but was able to lead the country through the war. And once again, he was able to lead the country by morale. He has hundreds, if not thousands, of quotes that he said throughout the war that propelled his men to just keep going and keep feeling like there was never an end, that they were going to win this at the end of the day. Another famous quote that was said by someone else was, "That was worth 1,000 guns and the speeches of 1,000 years." This was something that MP Josiah Wedgwood said about him after one of his many great speeches. What Winston Churchill was known for, he served as War and Air Secretary and as a colonial secretary in the early 1920s. This, once again, was part of him swapping over after he was done with boarding school and he felt that he should go and do military things and join the cavalry, the Royal Cavalry. That lifestyle is what led him into being able to be the colonial secretary. Churchill was responsible for demobilization after the First World War, the efficiently putting an end to the rebellions in the British Somaliland in 1920. Winston Churchill served as Prime Minister of the UK during the Second World War. During this time, he vehemently warned against Germany's rearmament, called on Britain to strengthen itself to counter German belligerence, and was a fierce critic of Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain's appeasement of German Chancellor Adolf Hitler. And once again, even when he was the Prime Minister, he still, when he went about things, he went from a military standpoint. He had a firm military mindset, but he was still felt that everyone was a part of everything. He still felt morale to be kept up. One of the most famous quotes that I found it kind of stuck with me from what Winston Churchill said was, "We shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the land grounding. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender." Winston Churchill died at the age of 70 on January 24th, 1965. He had suffered 8 strokes throughout his life, and the last being on January 15th, 1965. This being the one he did not recover from. And to just sum all that up, when Winston Churchill died, when he died, he had a state funeral, which meant that he was an important figure to the United Kingdom, and his leadership will be known for now, even going on into the future. So I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. That's my presentation.